What's going on, Gaming Outsiders? On this week's episode, it's just Alyssa and I, and we're talking about decorating for Christmas and whether or not we do so with a little bit of video game flair. In news, Square Enix announced a collection of Final Fantasy titles for a price you won't believe. And you'll also hear my impressions of Crisis Core, Final Fantasy VII Reunion, and High on Life. Also, Sean Coates stops by to talk about Atari 50, the anniversary celebration, and Jacob gives us his impressions of an indie title on Steam called Conquer Humanity. This is the Gaming Outsider. Greetings, programs, and welcome to the Gaming Outsider, a video game podcast with a focus on our incredible community, which can be found at thegamingoutsider.com. It is Tuesday, December 20th. I'm your host, Scott Clark, and joining me is the ever-lovely Miss Alyssa White. How are you doing?
Aw, thank you, Scott. Much better now that you call me lovely.
Well, you are. Every day you just get lovelier. It's fantastic.
Aww. So do you.
It is just... Well, I look lovely?
Yes, you do.
I'm just wearing this old thing, but... Alyssa, this is the first time that you and I have done an episode, just the two of us. Just
I know.
The two of us. Unfortunately, it is the busy season with holidays, and both Zach and Chris are unavailable today. The schedules did not align up correctly, so we're going to go just the two of us. We're going to have a good time, Alyssa. You ready to do this?
I am ready to do this.
I'm very excited. Before we get into what we've been catching up on, I want to let everybody know that we do have our giveaway for the month of December available now. If you would like to participate, please be sure to check out our social media outlets, facebook.com/thegocast/ I'm sorry, let me try that again. facebook.com/groups/thegocast, or our Discord server, which there's a link for that in the show notes of this very episode. This month we are giving away a copy of, I gotta get the name right, Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion, which is a remake of the PSP game on Xbox Series X. It is a physical copy. I've purchased it. I've started playing it. You're going to hear my impressions in a little bit, but we used Patreon funds to pick up that copy, and then we're going to give it away to the community after I finish it. So make sure you get entered into that. Alyssa, have you played that game before?
I have not, but I really want to. And I'm hoping I hear good things from you later on.
Okay. I'm gonna let it be a secret until we get there.
I know, and it's gonna be torture. Yeah.
But what you been catching up on in the meantime?
I've caught up on several things, but I finally beat God of War Ragnarok after everyone else already did. Finished it up yesterday as of the time of recording. But what a story.
Yeah, right?
It was incredible. I don't want to give any spoilers.
I want to make sure I got this right. You beat it before CB.
Oh, he hasn't beaten it yet?
And if he has, he hasn't told me, because we were going to do a spoiler cast, so maybe you and I will just do the spoiler cast.
Oh, well, that's impressive. I figured CB would have beat me to it.
I don't know. Maybe he has. I just haven't heard from him, because we were supposed to record that a week or two ago, waiting on him to finish it. So you can join us now. We can have a three-man show. That'll be fun. But yeah, how about that? I don't want to go into any spoiler territory here right now, but what a powerful ending, right?
It was incredible. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to spoil, but fantastic ending.
Mm-hmm.
Did you play the chapter after the final chapter?
No, I didn't, because I was so done with God of War Ragnarok, because I kind of plowed through that game. I should go back and try out some of that stuff, but I feel like with as condensed as my experience is with that game, I would have already forgotten the controls. You know how that goes. Not that there's there's just some story stuff that maybe doesn't even require combat. Again, I'm trying to dance around.
Yeah, I mean, the story quest is only about 10 to 15 minutes long. Mm-hmm. And that's all I did. And then I didn't really feel like doing any of the other side quests. I would just go and find these things and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I will say Christopher Judge, despite his excessively long speech at the Game Awards, really deserves that award. Some of the stuff that happens at the end there is outstanding, and I can't wait to talk with you guys freely about that on a later episode. What else you been playing?
Well, I got a Steam Deck, courtesy of Sean. Yes. Early Christmas present, and I love it. I need to spend more time with it, but I've been busy. But I did play Aperture Desk Job, because I love Portal, and it's free. And I really just wanted to, it's basically a tech demo for the Steam Deck. And it was wonderful. It's only about 30 minutes long.
Right.
But just, it's beautiful. I was so surprised at how gorgeous this game looked on the Steam Deck.
And I love just how portally it feels.
It does.
You even get a little bit of Cave Johnson. You get the new version of Wheatley that I think is
I can't remember his
great.
name. Was it Gary or something?
I can't remember either.
Yeah.
I remember he's green instead of blue, but
Yeah.
Hilarious, and some of the humor in that is just great. But yeah, you're right. It's just basically to show off everything that the Steam Deck could do. I feel like a lot of that I wouldn't have even known the Steam Deck did.
I didn't know it would record your voice, and
Yep.
actually, when it started recording my voice, I was talking to my dad at the time, and I was supposed to be saying my name, but it caught me saying this whole long sentence. I'm like, oh no, that's my name now.
Right. Here's the best part, Alyssa. Now that you have a Steam Deck, you have a portable Vampire Survivors machine.
That is true. I do have to get Vampire Survivors on Steam now, though.
Yeah, just keep in mind you'll have to start over again.
All the way over,
but you can play Xbox games on the Steam Deck. Did you know that?
I feel like Sean told me, but I don't know how, so you'll have to help me.
I'll send you a link. I actually shared a link with Sean. You basically have to use the what's the browser? Is it Edge? Microsoft Edge?
Yeah, Microsoft Edge.
You basically log into your Xbox Game Pass account from the browser, and then you can play any of the Xbox Game Pass games. So you could really just kind of pick up where you left off. I haven't done it yet, but my buddy Mike told me that it's incredibly easy to do. So I need to do that as well, because I would much rather play my Xbox games portably and earn some achievements instead of just playing it and not earning anything. Although there's achievements on Steam as well. That'd
be really great. And I noticed on the Steam store, they do have a section on the Steam Deck that says great on, I think it says great on deck.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just all these games that are optimized for Steam Deck.
Yep.
So that's cool too, just to see from your library which games would be the best to play on the Steam Deck.
Yeah. Any idea where you want to start? Like I mean, you played PC games before, so it's not like you have the whole world open to you like I did. Yeah,
but I mostly just play, visual novels and smaller games on the PC. I've never really played like a big long game. Besides, I did play Resident Evil 3 Remake on PC.
Okay.
I do want to play Gotham Knights and do have that on PC. It's not optimized for Steam Deck, but you can play it on there.
Okay. So can I make a recommendation?
Of course.
Inscription.
That's one I've been wanting to play. Yeah.
I know that it's coming to Switch, or maybe it's already on Switch. That game is a lot more interesting than you think, and I know what you're going to say. I'm not big into those card battler type games. However, there's a lot more going on than that in this game. It does some things that are pretty special, and I think you would actually appreciate it. I believe that game is stupid cheap too. So
I'm sure it is, and it's one of those rare games that no one wants to spoil a story, which I really appreciate. But it also makes me like super interested. I need to know what is so special about this story that no one wants to spoil it.
I haven't gotten far enough for the story to be fantastic. It's just the way that the way that you were interacting, and just kind of how things are revealed is pretty cool. Don't get me wrong. There's still a card battler game in it, but it's not super complicated. It's not going to be good. Like a what's the one that everybody loves on Blizzard, like Hearthstone. Yeah. It's not like a Hearthstone or a Magic the Gathering. It's nowhere near that complex.
Okay, good.
I'd say it's even simpler than Marvel Snap. So check that out, because I would really love to hear your impression on that. It is coming to console as well, too. How is your Vampire Survivors going?
I still have not gotten past stage 3. I'm not sure how to progress. Because stage 3 is the kind of a factory setting. Yeah. And I've gotten to about 25 minutes before dying, but I just can't unlock stage 4. I'm not sure how I'm supposed to.
Don't worry about that. Don't look at that game as progressing through stages.
Okay.
Look at it more. You'll have more fun with the game if you focus on the. I'm not going to say achievements, although they are tied to achievements on Xbox. But the unlocks.
Okay.
There's a list at the beginning when you before you even start a stage that you can move over and click on unlocks. It'll have a little checklist of everything that needs to be done. Focus on doing those things.
I didn't even know that was a feature. I need to.
Oh yeah.
I need to look at that now.
Yeah, just totally treat it like a checklisty kind of thing. And if you're still struggling, have you discovered evolutions yet?
I have. I've evolved garlic. I don't know how you pronounce it. Is it peach one or peachone?
I don't know.
The one with
bird, right?
with the pigeons.
Yeah. Well, what you can do is have you got the black one yet? There's one that looks like Peach One or Peach Owen.
Yeah, I got that one.
If you evolve the white one and the black one, it evolves again.
Oh, that's cool.
So then it opens up a slot. So I played it this week for hours, and I actually hit somewhat of a milestone for me. I know people are a lot further than I am, but I actually had 6 evolutions going at the same time.
Oh, wow.
Which is a glorious feeling, and it takes a little bit of figuring out how to make that happen. But it is totally possible. Once you know how to do that and what to focus on, what to avoid, it gets really cool. I also unlocked things like banish. So like when you're trying to choose which upgrade you want to do, you can actually banish one from the inventory for that round. So like if you're tired of seeing that one, or if you want to avoid one, you can just banish it from that round.
Oh, that's cool.
So that it keeps it open for the ones that you're actually trying to go for. I also unlocked reroll. Have you unlocked reroll yet?
I have not.
Reroll is great because it basically allows you to, like, once you get that menu, if the ones that are on there are none of the ones that you want, you just click reroll and it gives you a fresh set of whatever the upgrades are.
Okay, that's cool because sometimes you get 3 great selections and sometimes you get 3 not so great ones.
Now, where I'm at, I only have 2 rerolls, but the more things you unlock, the more things that you get them. And again, that's where the checklist comes in handy, because the things that you do on that checklist unlock other weapons and unlocks other characters, and it just opens up, and then you start going into Pandora's box and seeing how deep this game actually is. So yeah, don't focus on the stages so much. I'm finding myself focusing on just trying to unlock things, and doing so by focusing on the character checklists. So if you notice when you do the stage selection or the character selection, it'll show you which level you've beaten with each character. And again, you're so close to beating a character, or to beating a level with a character. I know you said you haven't reached 30 minutes yet. That's when you beat a level. And when you do, it'll give you a little check mark next to the level name when you were looking at that character. So I'm kind of going through and trying to beat every level, or at least the first 2 levels, with every character that I have unlocked.
Okay.
And then just focusing on the checklist as I go through there. So I'm kind of trying to kill 2 birds with one stone. Once I do that, then I'll move into stage 3, because stage 3 has things that are only available in stage 3 to unlock, and I'm just going to kind of work my way down. There's like 120 or something achievements in this game.
Yeah, it's insane.
And that's not counting the DLC, which the DLC, by the way, is $1.79, so I will definitely be picking that up.
So cheap, and it just looks really interesting. It looks like it's blending in some Japanese and Chinese characters and locations to it.
It's just ridiculous how much I'm enjoying this game, and some of our community has been talking in Discord about some people are just like, with as much hype as this game is getting, they're still just having no interest in it because it doesn't look like anything they're interested in, and I totally get that.
Oh, I do too.
I totally get it.
When I first saw it, I'm like, I'm not gonna like this, and even the first run I played, I'm like, I don't know about this, but I kept going.
Yeah.
And then it sunk its claws into me.
And and now that you're seeing the evolutions, that just compounds and compounds and compounds, and then you just have ridiculous runs where you feel like a god, and you're unlocking new stuff, and then going deeper and deeper. It's just so good. But we got to stop talking about Vampire Survivors. This is gonna be the Vampire Survivors podcast. But what else you been catching up on?
I've been playing one other game, and that's Disney Dreamlight Valley. I mentioned this one last week, and I'm just having a lot of fun rebuilding my village and getting new Disney characters coming in. It does get a little grindy where you have to have a certain amount of coins, so you have to go around the village and start harvesting vegetables and fruit, mining, or to try to get jewels, all this kind of stuff to get more money. So that does kind of slow things down. But I've never felt compelled to buy anything, which I think you can buy things because this is a free-to-play game. But I've never felt the need to buy anything. It's just have a little patience, and then you'll get what you need after a few minutes. But it's just if you're a Disney fan, it's just a blast to play. and it's just a treat to see all these characters you know and love in this game.
Mm-hmm.
And I just got Wally in my village, and he is just the most adorable little thing.
Wally.
He's so cute.
That was a terrible impression, but
better than I could do. I'm not even gonna attempt it.
Well, I'm glad you're enjoying that. It just that's a game that I appreciate. I just don't feel like it feels too Animal Crossing.
It very much feels something like Animal Crossing or Stardew Valley ish.
Right. Yeah. But I love Disney characters, so maybe that's what it takes for me to enjoy a game like that. I don't know. I got too many other games to play right now to dive into something that sounds like a time suck like that one does.
But it is free to play, and it is on Game Pass for anyone interested. If you want to just dip your toe in.
It's so crazy to me that a Disney game is on Game Pass. I just never would have expected that.
Yeah, I don't know if there are any others on there or not.
That's kind of cool. Anyway, I've also been catching up a little bit. I finished last night, I finished Evil West, which is a game that I received a review code for a couple weeks ago, and it took me longer to get through than I wanted, partially because of, last week of school before Christmas break, which is nuts. And, I also did dive into one of the other games I'm going to be talking about in a little bit. Actually, two other games that I dove into this week. So, well, now that I've got time, I spent the whole first day of break just playing nothing but video games, and it was glorious. And
sounds like it.
Already, my schedule is already starting to fill up with people wanting to get together, which I love. But, even that just like hour or two break in the middle, I feel like I just have to get into the groove of starting again. I just need days where I have nothing but sitting in front of my TV playing games and catching up on things. But anyway, Evil West is great. The story is bonkers in all the best ways. The ending was hilariously good. I know that's a weird way to describe it, but the story is just so out there, but it never takes itself seriously. So I really appreciate that. The weapon upgrades just come fast and furious, and there's such an arsenal. And I was thinking about it, and I actually put it in my review, which should be available by the time you hear this episode, that I feel like the gameplay starts to feel like a third-person MMO.
Oh,
and
okay.
I know that sounds weird, especially coming from a guy that doesn't play MMOs, but all of the weapons have a cooldown. Not all the weapons. Your melee attack doesn't have you can just do that whenever you want. But the melee weapon, or excuse me, the ranged weapons and the special attacks all have a cooldown. Mm-hmm. So I find myself playing the game where I get in my attacks, and then I spend the time trying to maneuver my way around the enemies while I wait for my cooldowns to reappear, or to take down some of the smaller enemies or adds, which will help replenish some of your cooldowns quicker, and then just kind of doing that over again, rinse and repeat. So it's really difficult to describe how this game works because there's so many moving parts with the combat, and you're always having to adjust, and you can't really focus on just one gameplay method like I'm used to. Like like you mentioned Ragnarok. I don't know about you, but I found like one specific attack that worked really well for me, and I just kind of focused on that. You kind of can't do that in this game, otherwise it will take you forever to take down even minor enemies, much less the bosses. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You know me, I like to play from a distance. I'm always a sniper, and you really can't snipe. And you can't focus just on melee either, because when enemies use their ranged attacks on you, you have to defend yourself by hitting them with a ranged weapon before their attack gets off. You get like a little targeting reticle that marks over them, and as long as you hit them before they fire, it stops their attack and maybe drops some health upgrades or energy upgrades too. So it becomes a song and dance of just moving around and attacking, and it's pretty cool. A glorious symphony of combat, as Zach likes to describe it. So be sure to check out my review, which again will be available on the site by the time you hear this episode. Really digging that game, but my favorite thing about that game is that it's a single-player experience. Well, you can do co-op. I haven't done co-op. It's a single-player game that took me about 12 hours to finish, but it also feels like it's got a AAA budget. You know what I mean?
And that's incredible, yeah.
We don't get those anymore. Not only that, but it is such a fresh idea and fresh experience. I mean, if you had told me I was going to be playing a Western where I was killing vampires with steampunk weapons. That I was like, that sounds like something made up.
That has me sold.
Yeah, but I mean, it sounds like something that you would see. I don't know if you ever saw the movie Grandma's Boy, where
I have not.
Okay, in that movie, it's about a game developer. It's a guy that works for a game development company as a tester, and they're developing, he's developing this new video game on the side called I can't remember what it's called, Death Clock or something like that, where he's like this demon, and it just looks like just ridiculous game, and I feel like this is a game that guy would be developing, but this is made by a Polish studio, and it's awesome. My only issue is that the game is entirely too hard. There's no, you're not going to button mash your way through this game. You're not going to just snipe your way through this game. You really have to juggle each and every different method of playing, and it gets tough, even on easy difficulty.
Oh wow!
Which I'll admit, I dropped it down to easy because it's funny. In the description, it says, "For those that just want to experience a story and have no challenge whatsoever, I would like to challenge you guys on that because there is still quite a challenge in this game.
There is challenge in my no challenge."
Yeah, exactly. I little frustrating, but I'm not going to fault the game just for being difficult if it's a lack of skill on my part. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
I get it. Yeah.
Well, there you have it. Let's go ahead and jump into the week's news. All right, Alyssa, I'm going to give you first pick of stories that you want to talk about. Let's start off with Tomb Raider. The next game is going to be published by Amazon Games. Also, Marvel's Spider-Man 2 from Insomniac has a release window, not a date, but a release window. Square Enix announced a new collection of the first 6 Final Fantasy games. And also, we got some video game, movie, and TV series news, including God of War and Warhammer. So where would you like to start?
I gotta start with the series that I started gaming with, and that's Tomb Raider.
Okay.
So the next Tomb Raider game will be published by Amazon Games, which I don't know if many games have been published by them so far yet.
Not a ton. They're starting to dip their toe into the market a lot more. They've had some, but again, none that I can't even think of which ones have.
Yeah,
I know I've played one that's been published by Amazon, but
I don't know. But we already knew the game was coming. Crystal Dynamics announced it back in April at the State of Unreal 2022 presentation. It'll be the 4th game in the series since the 2013 reboot. It's being created in the Unreal 5 engine. And there are a couple of quotes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who said this first quote. Maybe it's just a press release quote.
Yeah, it is.
The as yet untitled new Tomb Raider is a single-player, narrative-driven adventure that continues Lara Croft's story in the Tomb Raider series. It includes...
Sold already.
Oh, for me too. It includes all the elements that have made Tomb Raider one of the most revered franchises in gaming, giving players control of the confident and multi-dimensional hero, Lara Croft, in an environment that rewards exploration and creative pathfinding, with mind-bending puzzles to solve and a wide variety of enemies to face and overcome. And that makes it feel more like the original games with the mind-bending puzzles.
Mm-hmm.
If
there
they're
were
going
some
to be that
mind-bending
challenging.
puzzles in the new trilogy, though, too. I
Yeah.
feel like they were never nearly as complex as they were in the original
They
games.
were more tucked away in the tombs.
Right.
Tombs in the original Tomb Raider games made up the entire game. But in this reboot series, tombs were more of a optional kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you didn't have to go in the tombs, but if you did, you would get rewarded with better gear and extra things and all that. So,
yeah,
it sounds like maybe they're trying to blend the two together with this
Let's
one.
hope so, because that was kind of that was the best part of those games was just those puzzles and feeling like you were, I was gonna say Indiana Jones, but I'm just gonna say feel like you're Lara Croft because that's well-known property.
It's so
character.
rewarding when you finally figured out like a really tricky puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also a quote from the studio head Scott Amos. Crystal Dynamics has an extraordinary opportunity to redefine what a publishing relationship is for Tomb Raider, which our own Zach Parkerson interjected a little note. He put, "This is easily one of the dumbest means nothing quotes I've ever read in my entire life." We love you, Zach.
It's true. I actually had a conversation with Zach about this story via text. When we found out that he wasn't going to be able to be on the episode, we were just kind of chatting because I love to chat with Zach about games. And unfortunately, since we weren't going to match up this week, we had to settle for text. But the quote goes on to say, "Transformative is what we're looking for." No. Is this? Yeah. Transformative is what we're looking for. And with Amazon Games, we found a team that shares our creative vision and values for a Lara Croft universe across the spectrum of possibilities. They're uniquely positioned to rewrite what publishing and development collaborations are, and we're eager to forge this new path together, starting with building the biggest, the best Tomb Raider game yet.
And that is a lofty claim.
It is. What's interesting about this, and part of what the conversation I had with Zach is, if you remember, Embracer Group owns the rights to Tomb Raider.
They do.
So they are passing off the publishing rights to Amazon, and the big question is, why? It just seems like a very odd move, and my best guess is that Embracer Group bought so many things that they have maybe bitten off a bit more than they can chew, and they have to kind of outsource a little bit. But I don't know. I mean, does a series like Amazon really need a big publisher like that? I mean, I feel like Tomb Raider can kind of survive on its own name. I
feel like it can as well, and it does make me a little nervous to hear it's being published by Amazon because, again, I can't even think of a game they've published. I know they have, but none come to mind.
Well, my guess is they're hoping that with the Amazon name behind it, it'll actually have the Amazon logo on the box.
Yeah. I mean, Amazon certainly has the budget to let them be able to do whatever they wanted to.
Right. But it's also an odd move because that's where they make the money is with the publishing.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So if they're making the money of the publishing, why are they handing off that opportunity to Amazon?
Who's already the biggest corporation in the world right now.
Right. It's just a very odd move. But regardless, I am amped up for playing whatever is next. I feel like I was in the minority of people that actually thoroughly enjoyed Shadow of the Tomb Raider.
Oh, I loved it.
I never understood the just like universal hate for that game, but
I didn't either. I still don't.
All right. But yeah, looking forward to that. Whenever it gets named, whenever it gets released, it'll be a while, but looking forward to it. I gotta talk about the thing that pissed me off this week, Alyssa. Oh, this Square Enix, the audacity of these jokers. This new collection of the first 6 Final Fantasy games on the surface. Oh, awesome. These remastered versions of the games, which are only available on Steam and mobile right now, which, by the way, are $17.99 each. On Steam and mobile right now.
That's a steep price, especially for mobile.
Right. Now, granted, these games are completely remastered. I mean, the sprites look the same, but they're touched up, and the backgrounds of every battle and everything is just, much more dynamic. But, the game plays the same. It just looks a lot prettier. Although there's issues with the font. People have complaints about the font that they use in these remasters. Rumor is that Square Enix is looking to adjust that. I feel like that would be an easy fix, but I'm not a developer, so I don't know. It's a weird thing to get upset about a font for me. Like,
unless it's just text, completely illegible.
No, it's completely legible. It's just not. It's just a very business-like font, if that makes sense. And I feel like if I'm reading text in a role-playing game like that, I am over the font within 10 minutes of playing it, and it does not make a difference to me anymore.
Yeah, I don't really notice the font after the first few seconds.
Yeah, as long as it's not Comic Sans. But anyway, so they announced that the collection of these first 6 Final Fantasy remasters, I believe it's called Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster, is coming in spring of 2023, but it is only coming for PS4 and Switch. That's it. PlayStation 4 and Switch. It will include remastered versions of all 6 games with updated sprites and artwork. Physical editions are only available on Square Enix's website, so you can't buy this from any retailer, and they are in extremely limited quantity. And I'm going to sound like a complete hypocrite when I say this, because I did try to purchase one, not for myself. I have a couple friends that are massive Final Fantasy fans, and I follow some people on Twitter that kind of alert me when things like this come available, and I want them to have one and I don't want them to have to pay scalper prices. So I'm looking out for a buddy of mine. They sold out in minutes. In fact, I got an announcement today from Wario 64. It said, hey, they're back up and available. Had one in my cart, went to check out, and it says there's 0 left in stock. I had to wait in a queue. You know how like when they did the PS5s?
Oh, yeah.
And you had to like wait the 2 minutes in line or whatever. Did that, had one in my cart, went to purchase it, out of stock. I have no idea. But here's the kicker, Alyssa. The standard edition, keep in mind, PlayStation 4 and Switch only is $74.99.
Whew.
Now, their argument is going to be, well, the games are $17.99 each, so you're getting a discount by buying them all in bulk. I understand these games are 40, 50, 60 plus hours to complete, but these games are also 30 years old.
True.
I don't care how touched up they are. It really makes me angry for hardcore fans of this series that would love to have something like this to be able to play on the go. And and here's the other thing. You have to pay for the shipping, which is $25. So really, if you want a physical version, it's going to cost you $105 and change.
That's
to get
expensive. And I see that it says it doesn't even matter the amount of your order. It's a flat $25. That is insane.
Which, by the way, the anniversary edition, which comes with some some LPs of the soundtrack and all this other stuff that I have no interest in, $259.99.
That is
expensive. Even if you purchase that,
$25
it is
shipping.
Still $25 shipping.
Which I don't. If you're just buying the game, that is really a ridiculous price for shipping because the game itself does not weigh that much.
Right. You're talking 5 ounces.
And it's going to cost $25 to ship it.
Yep. I mean, if it's coming from Japan, okay, I guess. But is it coming from Japan? I mean I don't know.
Square Enix has a North American headquarters.
One last thing to twist the knife even further. Normally, when you do a pre-order, they just hold your information, and then once it ships, they take your money. Oh, they're taking your money now. So, this whole thing makes me so angry. And what makes me even more angry about it is the fact that it's selling out. And again, I'm part of the problem. I'm not doing it for myself. I'm doing it for a friend that is a fan of the series that I know would love to have a copy. But the fact that these things, regardless of how limited they are in quantity, are selling out, all we're doing is we're showing developers that we're okay paying $100 for a game. I kind of feel like this is a test market to see if people are ready to start paying that, because they've already got us used to paying $70, right?
Yeah, which I always complain about.
Right, but those are also PS5 and Xbox Series X consoles, which this is not on. These are last generation consoles. I mean, Switch, I guess you could consider to be current generation. These are last generation games.
Mm-hmm.
And they cost, in this collection, normally a collection is a budget price, right?
Yeah, normally.
You're like $40, $50, something like that. You know what I mean? Look at the Cowabunga collection that came out. Now, granted, those games aren't touched up as well. But there's a whole bunch of artwork that's put in there. There's a whole bunch of extra love put into that game. And that's $40, off the shelf.
Well, I mean, the Atari 50 anniversary celebration, which Sean Coates wrote a review for, I noticed the price for that is only $40, and it's got over 100 games on it.
Right. That one's a little bit relative because I don't know if you've played an Atari game, but Atari games are play for 45 seconds and you're good to move on. Not knocking Atari games, that's what I grew up with. And, when you're a kid and that's the only games that exist, it's the best thing. But, you can go through those games quite quickly. And like Sean said in his review too, some of those are, there's like 5 or 6 different versions of Missile Command. You know what I mean? So there's some of that too, but I don't know. This whole thing just makes me so angry because I feel like the people that are going to be making money on this are scalpers, and I am so fed up with the whole scalper scene. From a collector standpoint, especially because it's getting ridiculous to finish off a collection that I want to do for myself, not to flip and turn around and make money on somebody else. And I don't know. It just gaming isn't supposed to be this way.
No, it shouldn't.
You know what I mean? I mean, I understand that gaming corporations are here to make money, and I am full behind companies making money, but this just seems like sleazy in so many ways, and it makes me upset. Anyway,
you have the right
I'll get off my soapbox now.
Also,
any other story?
I was going to ask, are these games going to be available to purchase digitally, or can you only play them physically?
Great question. Thanks for reminding me. They will be available to be purchased digitally as well for $17.99 each, or for $75 for all 6.
But at least you don't have to pay $25 shipping.
Correct. Yeah. So it's just still. I feel like, because I would love to go back and play Final Fantasy VI on my Steam Deck. I'll just wait for a Steam sale because that'll happen eventually.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, to me, there's no reason to buy all 6 in a package like that right off the bat, because those games take how many hours to complete? It's not like I'm going to go through 500 hours of content, before the price drops. So piecemeal it out and play the games at your leisure, and then wait for sales. I just, if you want to buy one now, I'm not going to judge you if you spend $18 on a 30-year-old game, but I'm not going to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I fear for the future of games, because I understand that video games are a luxury thing. It is a leisure activity. It's nothing like food or shelter or clothing, things that we need.
Mm-hmm.
But I also don't want it to be where it's just for elite people that make a ton of money.
Yeah, and this feels like it, just this one specific scenario.
Exactly. Makes me angry. Real quick, just to give everybody a heads up, Spider-Man 2, like we said, coming out in fall on PS5. We don't really know any more than just that window. But hey, it's happening. We knew it was happening, but it always cracks me up when they give a release window instead of a release date. They're just afraid to give a release date because,
if
COVID's
they
over,
push
guys.
It back, then people will be mad.
Pretty much. And also, God of War is getting a series that was announced by Prime Video. Cory Barlog will be executive producing the show, amongst others, and it's going to follow the story starting with the first rebooted game from PS4, so it'll have Kratos and Atreus, and I can't imagine that won't be successful. Who do you think should play Kratos, though?
That's what I was thinking. I don't know. I mean, I could easily see them, trying to get The Rock or somebody to play Kratos, but I feel like it needs to be someone, either a newcomer or someone that's just, I don't know, they're going to need to have an emotional range with this character.
Well, I mean, he only really has anger. I mean,
yeah.
You know what I mean? As long as he can be angry. I've seen a lot of mock-ups of people doing it, and I just feel like nobody... I don't think that The Rock is stoic enough.
No, he's not.
I haven't seen Black Adam, so I can't really speak to that. He appears like he's a little bit more stoic in that one, but I can't.
Yeah, he always seems just like a holly jolly guy.
Yeah, right. Yeah, which I love. I just don't want a holly jolly
Kratos. Yeah.
But that's a series that I'm glad they keep bringing back series to TV shows and movies, and that one and Fallout are two that I'm like, yes. Oh, and Last of Us. My God, I can't wait to see Last of Us.
I'm excited for that one. Yeah.
Also, Amazon is getting a Warhammer 40K series. The rights have been secured after months of negotiations. Henry Cavill, who will no longer be Superman after this week, is heavily involved in the project, not only as a producer, but also in an acting role. So I don't know much about the 40K series.
I don't either.
I feel like I don't understand why it took so many months of negotiations, because that license sounds like it's just super cheap. But if anybody's going to be behind it, I'm glad it's somebody like Henry Cavill, who is a gamer at heart and understands these properties. So
I think he paints miniatures of these Warhammer characters as well. So
yeah,
he's very involved. So glad. Which I believe he also said his girlfriend's going to be a producer on the series with him as well.
Nice.
So that's a little interesting fact if you didn't know it.
Very cool. Let's see. I think that's it for the news. So let's go ahead and move on with some quick housekeeping. I want to remind everybody about our Patreon page. We've got some bonus episodes that we do for our Patreon subscribers, and we'd love for you to take part of it. You can subscribe for as little as $1 a month to get an early access to the episodes a day early. And then at the $3 tier, you get one bonus episode each month. And at the $5 tier, you get 2 bonus episodes each month. And all the funds that we collect from you guys, we do not spend on ourselves. Like I said, I did buy myself a game, but I'm giving it back to the community. Mm-hmm. So any extra funds we have goes towards games that we can review and talk about on the show, and then in turn give back to you guys. We don't pay ourselves. Everything goes back into the Go coffers, and anything extra will go towards R2V2 when and if that happens. But we've got some episodes available for you right now. We've got, let's see, the trade-off episode with Kevin and I on Link's Awakening versus Sonic Generations. It's a lot of fun to talk about. We just recorded our Desert Island Games episode with Mr. Grant Henry. That's in the process of getting produced. It was a lot of fun talking to him, and I can't wait for you guys to hear that episode. And then also, we've got a bunch of other stuff cooked up as well, including Kevin's Beginner's Guide to D&D. If you've ever wanted to get into Dungeons & Dragons, he will kind of give you a lowdown of how that works. And I'm still picking my way through Grandia 2, and whenever I finish that, Kevin and I will be doing a discussion on that, as well as Robotrek, which is an RPG I made him play. But if any of that sounds exciting to you, or if you want to check out all of our back catalog of Patreon episodes, signing up today gives you access to all of it. If you go to patreon.com/thegocast, you'll get immediate access, and we would love for your support. So check out patreon.com/thegocast. Let's go ahead and jump into the new games that we've been playing. Alyssa, the list is short this week, but what games are coming out that we should be checking out?
Okay, first of all, I have to say I'm so thrilled I get to steal Zach's job this week. But the new games coming out are Turnip Boy Commits Tax Evasion, which is coming to PS4 on December 20th. Naraka Blade Point is coming to Xbox One on December 22nd. It was previously released on Xbox Series X and S. Valkyrie.
That's weird. Like, usually it's the other way around. Like,
yeah. But if you want to play it and you only have an Xbox One, your chance is coming up. Valkyrie Profile Lilith is coming to PS5 and PS4 on December 22nd, and this was previously a mobile-only release. So now, if you want to play it on console and you have a PlayStation, you can.
Mm-hmm.
Tower Princess comes to Xbox Series X and S and Xbox One on December 24th, and Mirror 2 Project Z comes to PC on December 25th. So if you want to play a weird Japanese game on Christmas, you now can.
That's a weird release date, like right on Christmas Day.
And the trailer just makes it look not that good, I have to say. But did any of these pique your interest, Scott?
Nope. My backlog is so chock full right now. I am sticking to what I'm playing.
Same here. Nothing
I got to get
really.
Through Crisis Core. I've got to get through Callisto Protocol. I got to get through Sonic Frontiers. And apparently, if you follow Facebook, I've got to play
Plague Tale.
Plague Tale Requiem. Got my feet to the fire on that one. And but the sad thing is all I want to do is play Vampire Survivors. I got to do all this other gaming first. So
I've got a backlog as well. So don't feel bad.
Okay, so I'm not alone there.
You're not alone. But you have been playing Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion. That is a tongue twister of a title.
I know, right?
And this looks phenomenal. It's a PSP port or remake that is now on current gen consoles. And I'm curious, is this game even remotely close to being as good as Final Fantasy VII Remake?
Well, that's not a fair comparison, man. That game.
That's true. That's a wonderful game.
Visually alone, that game is just insanely gorgeous. And the PSP is what, 15, 20 years old or something like that?
Something along those lines.
So yeah, I don't know if that's a fair comparison, although I will say that the combat feels closer to that than like original Final Fantasy VII or most Final Fantasy which are turn based. I feel like I don't know which was the first Final Fantasy game to stray from the turn-based JRPG, but this is definitely not turn-based. You have full range of movement of your character. You press a button and it attacks. It works much like that. You've got magical abilities just like you do in Final Fantasy games, but they're attached to the face buttons, which is interesting because in order to cast magic, you have to press one of the bumpers. And then whichever materia you have assigned to one of the 4 face buttons. So you can have ice on one and fire on another and healing, and then you just kind of cast magic. And so far, I'm only 2 chapters in, so I haven't gotten real far, but I wanted to be able to play just enough to be able to talk about it a little bit. I plan on diving deep into it this week on my week off, or 2 weeks off. But it's really interesting seeing Zack as a character because I'm so used to the aesthetic of Final Fantasy VII with Cloud, right? And now your primary protagonist is the polar opposite of Cloud. Cloud was moody and a man of few words. Zack is cocky and obnoxious, not in a bad way. It's just like he's just a more fun character. He just wants to be first soldier, and his, I don't want to say trainer, or he's the protege to this character whose name is escaping me right now. Zach is cursing at me.
We're sorry.
He's carrying, he's carrying the Buster Sword, so I get a good feeling I know what's going to happen to that guy at some point. You know what I mean? So, again, I don't, I'm not spoiling a 15, 20-year-old game. I'm assuming everybody can piece that together. But I'm really looking forward to see where that story goes because it's actually a lot of fun to play. And I know Zach has talked about this with us on the show before, but the game has this system built into it where a slot machine kind of comes up in the middle of the screen just randomly. And that will either give you buffs or bad things that can happen to you that you have kind of no control over.
So just like real life gambling.
Yeah, kind of, pretty much. But I can't really tell if the enemies have something like that as well. You know what I mean? Because I have all these things going on, so I don't know if they're getting buffs and debuffs or how they're making that happen. But it hasn't gotten overly complicated yet. But I feel like it could with just, I haven't even had to swap out materia too much. Barely had to even upgrade my weapon. You know how in Final Fantasy games you get new weapons and you swap them out and sell the old ones?
Yeah.
Haven't done that a ton, but it's a lot of fun. I can tell that it was a PSP game just in the way that it plays. You know how the old PlayStation 2 games kind of feel jerky in their movement a little bit?
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Where nowadays you play something like God of War or Callisto Protocol and characters have this deliberate movement. This feels more video gamey, and I'm not saying that as in a negative light. I'm saying that as I kind of miss that play style a little bit, and it looks great. But you can tell it's dated. It's just touched up. I can't really compare it to the original because I never played the original. I kind of want to go do a look at a comparison video, but I know some people that are like me that haven't played this game but are familiar with turn-based JRPGs. One of the questions they've been asking me, actually Sean asked me, is it if random battle encounters, if that's a thing. Yes, there are random encounters in this game, just like in any Final Fantasy or almost any Final Fantasy. But they are so short. I seriously feel like I can get through a battle in 15-20 seconds.
Oh wow, that's fast.
There's no load time. You know how in the old games they would do this spiraling thing while the game loads? No, it's just you walk around and enemies just appear and all of a sudden you're in a battle. And that's kind of great. Like I said, battles take a few seconds, if that. I never feel bugged by getting into a random encounter. I feel like I'm actually moving towards something. In fact, one of the early missions, it actually rewards you for seeking out and finding all of the random battle encounters in this fortress that you're overtaking, and you're rewarded for it. So
that's smart.
So that's kind of a cool feeling. So looking forward to it. I haven't found a ton of challenge with it yet, but like I said, as complex as the system is, I'm expecting it to get a little bit more where I'm going to have to know which materia to equip in certain places, and I can see it getting complicated. But so far, really, really liking it.
Okay, I'm glad to hear good things because I do want to play this at some point. I hope you keep enjoying it.
Thanks.
And you've also been playing High on Life, which I've been wanting to play this game, but Joel Selinsky on Facebook kind of posted something that has made me not want to play it at the moment. But
I know what you're talking about.
But going back, are you having fun with this, or are you finding it annoying?
That's such a great question, Alyssa, because I feel like that is where the line that is drawn with people in this game. People either love this game or they hate it, and I feel like I'm in
what I've heard. Yeah,
I feel like I'm in the minority of people that are like directly in the middle.
Okay.
I am thoroughly annoyed with this game, but I'm having so much fun playing it. Who was it? Was it Paul Hine in our community that described this game as being squishy?
Oh, squishy.
Which is an interesting way to describe it, and I wholeheartedly agree with it because the shooting mechanics do feel squishy, like especially with the headshots. And I was playing with headphones specifically because of the annoying stuff in this game, and you can hear
I've
my
heard
TV.
About some of the dialogue that is said in this game as well.
Oh yeah, they like the C word a lot in this game. I mean, the opening scene has your sister offering you a plate full of Coke, like with the credit cards and I mean, it's kind of nuts. But my TV can be heard clear as a bell from upstairs, and my wife's family was over baking cookies, and the last thing that they needed was to hear some. I didn't know that at first when I started playing it. I was like, I'm gonna put some headphones on. So one of the things, and I don't know how this translates to not playing headphones, but when I was playing with headphones, when you get a headshot, the sound that comes in your ear in combination with the vibration of the controller is great. And that's a lot of where I think the squishy nature that he comes from, because it feels like, remember playing Gears of War when you get headshots? And the heads just kind of pop?
Like a melon.
It's like,
woo!
Yeah, it's like that feeling. Or another comparison is the old Uncharted games. Remember how, like, when you killed a guy, your aiming reticle would kind of turn into an X, whatever, to kind of show you.
Yeah, I remember.
In this case, this game does that sound in your ear, and the vibration of the controller to be like, okay, that character's dead. I love that. I wish more shooters would do that, because it's really great. The art style is very bright, colorful, vibrant, but yes, the talking, and I feel like I'm watching a 12-year-old boy's wet dream, in terms of dialogue, things that are being said. And to be direct, I'm not a Rick and Morty fan. I haven't given it much of a chance. I watched one episode and I was just like, I don't get it.
I do enjoy Rick and Morty, but it's not really dumb to me. Like, I don't.
Well, it wasn't. Again, I only watched one episode, so I can't speak too negatively on it. I just felt like it was so like the show was yelling at you. It felt very stressful to watch.
It is kind of it kind of does feel like it's yelling at you. But I like the science fiction nature of Rick and Morty. I do enjoy Justin Roiland's other show, Solar Opposites, but from what I've heard about High on Life, it doesn't seem like it's close to either of those. This feels more like teenage boy humor rather than the science fiction adult humor that Rick and Morty and Solar Opposites have.
And adult humor is definitely... I don't know how adult Rick and Morty gets. Like, is there, like, language and...
It depends on where you watch it. Some of it's either censored or uncensored, depending on where you watch it.
Gotcha. This is... And you know me, I'm not allergic to swearing or offended by swearing. But when it just seems so egregious and I don't know, it's just so much of it. I'm like, why are you using the F word there? Like, it doesn't. You're doing it just because you can. I don't know. It feels very sophomoric in its design, and I know that's what they're going for, and that's a lot of why people like it. Thankfully, and I didn't know this until about 2 or 3 hours into the game, but there is a slider in the menu that you can actually turn off how much the characters talk. Like as you know, your weapon, your gun is sentient. It's got a face on it and it talks to you, which I actually think that's amazing. I just love the interaction that you have. That's pretty cool. But you can turn off how much he talks to you. So you can turn it off to where he only talks to you when you have to for certain story beats. Otherwise, he will talk to you just randomly for no reason. And characters that you walk by, like just NPC players, like you can go up to them and you just automatically start talking to them. Like the gun will start talking to whatever NPC, and the NPCs will say stupid stuff. And then if you walk away, they'll be like, "Oh, I guess you were done talking to me," which I think is kind of cool. But then I feel bad. Yeah. Like I always
feel like longer.
Right. Much like when I watched the episode of Rick and Morty, I feel like this game is constantly reprimanding me for doing something. There's a time where you pause the game and you come back and the gun yells at you and chastises you for using the pause.
Oh no.
It gives references to other games. I hit a platforming section and your gun goes, "Huh, this reminds me of Lucky's Tale. That was a fun platforming game," or Donut County was mentioned. It's very self-referential, not self-referential, but it video game referential. Kind of aware that it's a video game, but it is. Yeah, like if you don't like Borderlands, this feels like Borderlands on coke. Like,
oh wow,
almost literally, because like, okay, I didn't even tell you the story. I didn't even tell you what the story. You are a teenage boy, 14-year-old boy. You're in your bedroom talking to your sister. Your parents are out of town. Your sister's talking about having a party, offers you coke, and all of a sudden aliens show up. And the way aliens show up is they, instead of like driving a spaceship, they just transport an entire house. So a house just shows up on your block. Aliens come out, they kill the neighbor, and then they go back in and they're gone. And then all of a sudden the planet's in invasion by these aliens. So you have to escape. The alien that gets killed, you get his weapon, and that's your talking weapon now. He takes you back into the house. You do something to make your house transport to this new planet that's safe. And now you're on a mission to stop G3, which is, these aliens that are taking over. And you more or less do these bounty hunter missions where you're taking out high-ranking officials within G3, to slowly work your way in. So, yeah, the voices and stuff are super annoying. It's a game that I just won't play without my headphones, even if my wife's family isn't over. I just feel almost embarrassed. But the shooting is fun. It really is. I'm enjoying it. There's lots of collectibles that you don't have to do if you don't want to, but they're pretty easy to find. The levels are exciting. Some of the dialogue is just so stupid. There's one section where I have to get through this gate, and there are two aliens that just look like cylinders with faces on them, and they said, in order to let you through the gate, you tell us which of us is cuter. And so they have an argument with each other over who's a better looking alien, and you have to make a choice, and whichever one you say is cuter opens their door, but the other one gets pissed at you and says you can't. But it's like a whole 5-minute conversation just to let me through a door. If that kind of stuff annoys you, steer clear of High on Life.
Oh yeah.
However, the shooting is fun enough that it's worth checking out. So.
Oh, and you can also watch full-length movies in this. I know Tammy and the T-Rex. But
that's the only one I've seen. Yeah.
I've heard there's one that they have that when you watch it, it's kind of like Mystery Science Theater, where they give commentary, but you can watch the entire movie, and they give commentary the entire time.
Yeah, I actually watched about 20 minutes of Tammy and the T-Rex, which I've never heard of this movie. It's got Denise Richards, Paul Walker, very early on in their careers. Like this is a B horror movie. It's something about the kid. Paul Walker gets murdered, and his essence gets into a animatronic Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Oh,
it's a total campy movie, and I couldn't. So I watched the 20 minutes and then decided I'm kind of bored with this. I want to go back and, do a mission. I'll just kind of continue the movie when I come back because it went to a commercial break, actually. Because you're watching it on your home television,
Yeah.
right? Like you're at home and there's like a transporter that takes you to your missions, and then this other alien is sitting on your couch watching these movies. So I'm like, they went on a commercial break, and like, I don't want to sit and wait for the commercial, so I'll come back and watch it. I came back, and the movie started from the beginning.
No.
So like, if you want to watch this movie, you got to watch the whole thing.
Yeah, you gotta sit there for hour and a half or however long this movie is, probably.
Yeah. I'm not sure I'm gonna finish it, Alyssa. I know it's only like 12 or 15 hours, which is what I want. But I have other priorities. I have these other games I want to play. So,
well, I mean, if it's not, if it's not bringing you enough joy, I'd say drop it. Put it aside for later.
I mean, if I didn't have these other games, I would probably be playing it. But I have other ones I want to get through before our Game of the Year discussion, which is coming in a couple weeks.
It is.
It's going to be nutty. It's going to be all four of us plus Grant. We're going to have 5 people on an episode doing our Game of the Year show. I'm really looking forward to that. So
that's definitely going to be a long one. So get snacks and drinks ready.
Yeah, it always is. It's so much fun talking to Grant. He's a great time. So
he's awesome.
All right, I got a couple other games we're going to talk about, but not ones that I played. I had Sean Coates as well as Jacob Gunderson, 2 of our writers, stop by to talk about 2 games that they're checking out for us. The first is Atari 50, the anniversary celebration, which Alyssa alluded to a little while ago, and also an indie title called Conquer Humanity, which the developer actually contacted us directly and asked us to check it out. So we're going to play those reviews for you right now. Mr. Sean Coates, it's been a while since we've had you on here, man. How you been?
Yeah, I'm good. It has been a hot minute, hasn't it? My God.
It has been, but glad to have you back. You were here to talk about Atari 50, the anniversary collection, which comes from developer Digital Eclipse and was provided to us by Uber Strategist. So a shout out to that PR firm for giving us a shot on this one.
Mm-hmm.
I am really intrigued, and I was borderline bummed that I gave you this one because I grew up playing Atari, really wanted to play this, and CB recently played the Atari Mania, which is kind of a mashup of all these games. But this looks like not quite mashups, but like reimagined versions of the game, or what is Atari 50?
Well, actually, maybe you should have gotten it. I don't have the level of nostalgia for Atari that you do.
Okay.
I came a little later, so to speak. By the time I got my hands on a controller, it was 1990, and Nintendo had its firm grasp on the psyche of every American child by the time I came along. But it's a collection of how many is it? About 103 Atari games.
Okay.
And it's just like that's typical collection of games, much like the Mega Man Legacy collection or the Cowabunga collection. It features a wide range of games from everything from their very, very first Atari arcade game up to the Jaguar era.
Okay, so this is just a straight collection. It's like a pack of all these like original games.
Yes.
So I gotta ask because I didn't know that, and I didn't know that you had never played Atari. So I'm actually getting a little giddy to talking to you about this because this almost feels like a Break the Seal episode. Because I want to see how we align in terms of what games worked for you versus which games I remember from my childhood. So of the 103, did you have like 2 or 3 standouts that you were like, man, this is a pretty fun game?
Oh, Tempest, for sure. I was a big fan of Tempest. And
okay, yeah.
And of the 103 games, you're going to encounter a lot of repeats. There's like 5 different versions of Missile Command. There's like 4 versions of Tempest, for example. So you'll get some repeats. But the list is quite eclectic, and it also has quite a few interesting historical significant titles as well. Like, for example, you're familiar with the Sword Quest series?
Absolutely.
They finally got around. Well, Digital Eclipse actually took it upon themselves to make the 4th one finally, 40 years later. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
They were able to get some of the original plans and scribbles from some of the Atari legends and took it upon themselves to finally complete it.
Oh, that's really cool. I didn't even know that was in there. That's kind of a big deal.
So there's things like that, and also some unreleased prototypes are in the list, along with some. Even has a couple of homebrew titles, which is very strange for like a official company to like recognize homebrews like that, right?
Right.
So That's all well and
cool.
cool.
But now these games are like in their original state. I mean, obviously they're going to look a little cleaner. The colors are going to look cleaner than they did my CRT television. I don't even know if it was a CRT, but my tube TV from when I was a kid.
And of course, like all retro collections, there's filter options so you can make it look like it did in 1982.
Yeah.
But
so yeah, these aren't like reboots because Atari's doing those, evolved games. Like I did Yars Recharged, and there was like a new Missile Command.
Yeah, those are on there.
Not that.
Those are on there.
Those
actually.
are on.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's even better because those games are so good.
They're a lot of fun.
Yars Recharged is so much fun.
And that actually reminds me, Yars Revenge is another good one that I kind of frequent myself back to. But on top of the classics, which will have, and by the way, only first-party titles from Atari, so there's no Pitfall, no River Raid, no Pole Position or anything like that, unfortunately. But
no Spider Fighter.
No Spider Fighter, unfortunately, no. But some of the games, I mean, not every single one of them is a great bona fide classic, especially when you get into the later years. Like, I was actually kind of disappointed that the selection of Jaguar games was kind of meh. You know what I mean?
I've never actually played a Jaguar, so I can't.
I
know is Aliens versus Predator. Is that on there?
No, it's not, because that's a third-party game. Unfortunately, all the best games that Jaguar had, with the possible exception of Tempest 2000, they're all third-party titles, unfortunately. Right. So the ones that we got here, take it or leave it.
Gotcha. Well, as much as I wanted to play this, I'm glad you did, because I can ask you this question. These games are 40-plus years old, some of them, and this is the first time you've played them. Do you find it enjoyable to go back and play these games that, at the time were just a joystick and one button, that's it? Are you finding fun in it? Or is it just more of a history lesson for you?
It's more of a history lesson for me, and yeah, they are a little rudimentary for my taste. I mean, I'm not like that much younger than you, I grew up in the NES era, which was only 2 buttons. But speaking of history lesson, there is actually a lot of it's more of an interactive museum than it is just a straight collection of games. That's the other half of this package.
That's what's really interesting to me, because I just want to go in and learn about the stuff that was going on while I was growing up.
You will get that, and then some. When you first boot up the game, you're greeted with a menu of 5 different eras of Atari's history, starting with like the arcade era, all the way up to the 90s and beyond. And when you click on any one of those eras, you're greeted with a timeline that you can interact with, and that'll have the games you can play, little historical blurbs about the history of the company or how they made the game. There's even some really cool digital scans of some flyers and posters of the time, and even some handwritten scribbles of plans of how to, like, there's literally a handwritten note on a napkin on the basics of Missile Command.
Oh, that's really
like
cool.
That kind of stuff. And then there's also little video clips of interviews from some of the Atari legends that are still around: David Crane, Nolan Bushnell, etc. And those are all. I actually find the history more fascinating than the games themselves, honestly, as a retro gamer.
Now you're playing this on Xbox, but it's available all over the place. I feel like this would be a great Switch game, not just because the games are simpler, but because then I can feel like I'm reading a book or something.
Sure.
Like it feels more educational, so I may have to pick it up on that platform.
Yeah, I understand the Switch version is getting a lot of hits.
Okay, so that is Atari 50, the Anniversary Collection. I assume you're recommending it? Or?
Absolutely, for sure.
All right.
Like I said, even beyond the games, just learning about the history, and also they even I will give them this: they acknowledge their mistakes.
Oh, really?
There's actually one of the 5 eras is called the highs and lows, and it talks about how they tried to adjust with the crash, and how they tried to, right the ship at that point and failed miserably, and they completely acknowledge that, and I appreciate that.
Any mention of the E.T. debacle?
You can't. It's not in the collection, but they interview Howard Scott Warshaw, who the guy who did E.T. and Yars Revenge, and he, it's all in there.
Nice. Did you play Adventure?
I did. I played a little bit of it, and I tried to do the whole thing with I tried to find the Easter egg.
Right.
And also another thing I gotta mention. There's so much stuff in this collection I gotta mention. All the manuals for every game have been meticulously scanned into the game. You can read.
Oh, that right there, dude. Just the covers and the box art.
It's all there.
That was like, I want to. If that game has a screensaver that just like cycles through all the box art of Atari, I would be super giddy. So
the box art, by the way, are 3D renders you can look at. You can rotate and flip around, and it's the whole thing. This is a collection for anybody who has even the slightest inkling of retro gaming.
I hope something like this comes out. They do that with Nintendo. I mean, I know Nintendo has everything on. It was on Virtual Console, and now it's on the Nintendo Switch Online stuff.
Oh yeah,
it'd just be cool to have like a history lesson with this stuff.
Any big company. I was going to say Sega, actually, because there's so much stuff beyond Genesis. I know a lot of Sega collections either focus on Genesis or Sonic. There's so much of the company even beyond that, before that. That would be just completely fascinating. Every game needs to steal this formula from now on.
I agree. I agree. Well, thanks so much for checking that out, man. You're definitely making me even more jealous that I don't get to check it out. Or I think Owens has a copy. Maybe I'll borrow his copy and just kind of go through, peruse it a little bit. But
do it.
Thanks for stopping by, man. It's good chatting with you. Hope everything's going well and you have a good one. All right.
You too. Thanks, man.
Well, hello there, Jacob Gunderson. It's been a long time since we had you on the show, man. How you been?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing okay. You got a couple things to talk to us about. First off, you reviewed some music for us. We had one of our contacts sent you a copy of an album called VGM Essentials, and I'm not sure how to pronounce this guy's name, but it's spelled SARE. Is it SARE or
it's SARE
or SARE? All right. So I'm really interested to hear this because I love me some video game music. Obviously, we're big fans of Grant Henry here at the Gaming Outsider. I love listening to music. So tell me, what is it about this album that makes it so special, and what is it?
Well, this guy is younger, and he's been making music since he's very, very young, and he's been playing games just as long. So he's taken music from the games that he loves to play and has remixed them into songs that he himself would want to listen to.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So yeah.
I listened to a couple tracks myself. The ones that stood out were the games that I'm intimately familiar with. There was one from Final Fantasy VII. There was one from Super Mario 64. There was a Sonic the Hedgehog 3. And the Final Fantasy VII one, it almost sounded like trance music at first, but then I listened to the other tracks and it started to have like this lo-fi vibe to it. Is that fair to call it that?
He's actually on here with 4 or 5 other artists, and they've all put their own little kind of signature twist on the songs as you go through them. And yeah, I've listened to the songs that hit my heart like 4 or 5 times in a row because I thought they were cool. But I had to, some of the songs I wasn't familiar with, and so I had to go and look at the original to know what the difference was from there. And some of them are a drastic change, some of them aren't that much, but it's just, he uses music and noises and other things from the game itself to in the music just to add that extra level of nuance and memory to it that brings you really back into the game.
Right. Plus the stereo stuff that he does with those is really, really clever. It's an album that begs to be played with headphones. So highly recommend everybody check this one out. If you just search for VGM Essentials and then look for the word SARE, SARE. I listened to it on Amazon Music. I believe you said it's also available on Spotify.
Yes, sir.
Check it out. It sounds really cool. So, also, I wanted to also talk to you about a game that you're covering for us. This developer, and forgive me if I'm mispronouncing your name, sir, but it looks like your name is Adi Javo. Has developed a game. It looks like it's just him called Conquer Humanity. He actually contacted me via email and asked us to check out his game, send us a code for it. I do not have the ability to play it because it was not available on Steam Deck as of this recording. But you being a PC gamer, obviously have access to this. I think it looks kind of intriguing. Can you explain to everybody what Conquer Humanity is? Because it's a little difficult to describe.
It's essentially a bullet hell. He says it's in reverse, but it really still kind of isn't. You're basically an anti-hero, supervillain, what have you, and you're playing in a simulation to conquer humans, conquer humanity. So you go around, you just kill humans, but it's bullet hell. So as you kill more humans show up to stop you, and the enemies get harder and harder the higher your level is, and there's different difficulties and stuff. Soundtrack sounds great on it. Visuals are great. People explode, blood, gore. It's a fun time. It's a really fun time.
I want to kind of paint the picture here because from the trailer, it's kind of an isometric view. So it reminds me of like a Diablo or Diablo 3, Diablo 2 or 3. And your character, like you said, is like this super villain. But is it his primary weapon or are there other weapons? Because it looks like he's got this giant red laser that just kind of shoots out and you just kind of spin around to kill everything. Is there more to it than that?
He's got about 5 essential moves that he does, and as you combine these moves together, you get like a style bonus. And so, you know, mixing it up and punching people and throwing things and all that kind of stuff adds to your score and your ability to do more damage and, you know, continue your kind of havoc on these people. But yeah, the lasers are a key point in killing, you know, far away enemies that, you know, show up and shoot you with guns, and you can just run around and punch people in the face.
Gotcha. I was a little worried because most of the gameplay I saw, there was somewhere like you were like crashing through buses and stuff with some melee attacks. But I feel like the trailer highlighted that laser so much, I was worried that was all the gameplay because that just seems like it would be really easy. You know what I mean? Just kind of spin in a circle and kill everything. Yeah. So you're saying there's more to it than that?
I thought it was going to be almost a Vampire Survivor remake, kind of.
Oh, okay.
I was pleasantly surprised that it wasn't. Because it's 3D, it's not, you know, 2D and whatever, so it's a little bit more depth to it as you run around the map, and you can see obviously the game isn't in complete production yet.
Yeah, I don't even think it's released as of yet.
No, it's not, and I hope I'm gonna drag on it a little bit, and I hope he hears this and takes it under some advisement. But the controls are the game is great. The soundtrack is great. The visuals are great. The controls are clunky.
Oh, okay. How do you? Because this is he said it required a mouse and keyboard. So how do you play it?
It's just your WADS or SD.
Oh, okay.
But your laser weapon is your mouse, and wherever your cursor is, your laser goes. So if you have it pointed to the ground, your laser goes into the ground and doesn't do anything. Which is kind of disappointing because I was hoping to get a kind of like an asteroids going where you just kind of point, like look in the direction, and then everything in that area kind of goes away. That's not the point. You actually have to use some kind of aiming for it, and the aiming is a little off, but that's not the biggest concern I have. With the other controls, most of your main attacks are on your left hand. So while you're moving with WASD, your other attacks are Q, E, Control, F, and H. And H...
Wow, that seems like kind of a reach.
It is a little bit. H is your hero mode. So once you get your style bonus to a certain level, you get to go basically hero mode with like Super Saiyan of this guy. And he shoots lightning out and throws people and speeds around the map. And I mean, that's fun too. But you have to stop moving to use H at some level.
Right, because you can't have, whatever direction you're moving in to reach that letter H from the WASD is going to be, you have to take your finger off something.
I find that the character is, while he's supposed to be a superhero, he's rather squishy and can't take many hits before he dies. So you constantly want to move, constantly want to be attacking people to regain health. And when you
he's a super villain, right? Not a superhero?
Well, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, super villain.
Super being.
Yeah. So you want to keep moving around the map. You want to sprint because obviously it's faster. Your sprint is toggleable, so you don't hold it the sprint. But every action you do stops you from moving, which then cancels the sprint. So
you can't do two things at once?
No. So every feature you do, you move into position, you aim with the mouse, and then you press your attack button, you attack in that direction, you have to repress shift to start sprinting again, or else you're crawling through the map. Which is very bad, because then you get shot and you're done.
Right. That sounds, it reminds me of an isometric Resident Evil almost in terms of how you can't run and shoot at the same time. You have to stop, attack, and then pick up again. Is that what you mean, or can you move and attack at the same time?
Your attacks go in a certain direction, and some of them have you move that way, and some of them don't. But you do essentially stop moving, attack, and then start moving again. But what I don't understand is because the shift isn't just holding, you don't immediately start running again. And if you forget to press the shift button, you could leave yourself open and die instantly. And that was kind of a learning curve real quick for me. I've played this for probably about 2.5 hours now. And it's getting the rhythm down of moving, attacking, and then having to get into the moving again. That's like
would you find that it would be easier if the default movement were sped up and you had the ability to slow down with the shift key?
The sprint is fun because in hero mode, you enter a state where you're just kind of blasting through people. Mm-hmm. And so it kind of evens out that you want to be constantly moving or whatever, and that the slowness forces you into sprinting. So
okay.
I don't know if that was a objectively goal with how the walking speed was, but I feel like it should be a little bit faster because I just feel so he's almost menacing walking at people like that big superhero. Which I'm walking out of the fire. Yeah, it's kind of fun, except when you're actually fighting people, you die almost instantly. And so it makes it less menacing for them and more menacing for you.
Gotcha. I got one more question, and understand that I am not as big of a PC gamer as you are. I am primarily a console. This, to me, sounds like something that would function better from controller support. You know, with the reaching and stuff like that. Is that something you agree with, or is that just me being a console player?
Oh, no, absolutely. I feel this game has great potential. If it was set up where there was more things to do with your right hand, because there's one move that's middle. If you have a middle click on your mouse, which is usually the scroll wheel, your left click is the laser beam. Your middle click is some kind of electric push. But then your right click controls where your camera is looking. And so you have to drag and drop the camera around if you want to look at anything. I don't really think I really don't think the looking is necessary in a game like this. Maybe if it was third person and that's how you looked around, but that would be unnecessary too, because you would just look around with the mouse. But essentially the right click is not used for anything. And so you have 4 attacks and movement and sprint and hero mode on your left hand, and you have lasers and a push attack on your right hand. And so it just feels extremely unbalanced when it comes to which hand is trying to do what. And I find myself at times, activating hero mode with my right hand so I can keep moving. But then, in the act of activating hero mode, I stop moving again and have to redo all of the sprinting and getting that going. I would feel so comfortable if this game was almost set up more in a Diablo sense where,
click
R1, well, not even just click to move, but you're using one joystick to move, you're using one joystick to aim, and then you've got R1, R2, L1, L2, all with different abilities, and you're just, tearing through enemies.
Gotcha.
Rather than trying to jump back and forth between which hands are going to do what.
Gotcha. Well, thanks so much for checking it out, and thanks to Addy for sending you a copy to check it out. I know he was specifically looking for some feedback, so I hope he, he takes this as constructive and not just, not just kind of bashing on the game.
Again, I love this game. This game has great potential. If it was if it was more user friendly in the control aspect, I would play the hell out of this.
Nice. All right. Again, that is called Conquer Humanity. It's available to wish list on Steam. I want to say it's, I think he said it was going to be $5. So it's a, budget title, obviously. But like you said, from the trailer, it looks like there's a lot of potential, and we wish him all the best. And hopefully, I hope I have the price right now. I'm worried that I don't have the price correct. I don't want to misquote him if that's not the case. So I'm going to try to find the press kit. But wish him all the best and hope that all works out well for him. Again, conquer humanity. And Jacob, thank you so much for stopping by. I appreciate you taking the time to check out this game, especially on such short notice, man.
No problem. Glad I could.
All right, we'll talk to you later.
Right.
It is $5. I did check it out. It is. it will be priced around $5.
Steam was telling me nothing, so
yeah.
Glad you found it.
All right, man. We'll catch you later.
All right, bye.
Bye. There you go. Thank you so much to Sean and Jacob for doing that for us. We really do appreciate it. I already mentioned the Facebook page, but I'll say it again, facebook.com/groups/thegocast if you'd like to join the community or our Discord community. There is a link in the show notes. And also, please, please, please drop us a review on iTunes if you get a chance. I guess it's not iTunes anymore. It's Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to the show. It really does help us get the word out about what we're doing. And lastly, our website is thegamingoutsider.com. You can find all of our episodes there, as well as any of our written content, which by the time you hear this, like I said, you'll have the Evil West review. But not only that, but I know that Alyssa and I both are in the middle of preparing for our top 10 personal favorite games of 2022. I feel like my list is already changing as I'm going through this week of prepping for games, so it's going to be a tough list. How about you?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I know my top 5, but I'm trying to pick the 5 games for 6 through 10, and I'm like, which order do they need to go in?
Right. Well, I've got 6 through 10, but after playing some games this week, I feel like some of that's going to get shuffled, so I don't know. It'll be interesting.
I mean, that could happen with me as well if I get to some of these games I need to play as well.
Right. Oh, also, I should note, too, I should have said this at the top of the show, Grant is in charge of our Game of the Year discussion in terms of what the overall game is going to be based on our votes. And what he wanted to do this year is he wanted to do a listener poll as well. So he's put together a Google form where you can kind of put your top 10 favorite games of the year or top 5 if you haven't played 10 full games this year. And the way it works is that your number 1 pick is going to get the most points, and then the number 10 pick will get the least amount of points. So you want to make sure you put them in order because he's got some algorithm that he's putting together, and he'll kind of reveal what the community game of the year is as well after we do ours, and that's going to be a lot of fun. So look for that link. It'll be on the social media outlets as well. With that, let's go ahead and jump into our From the Outside In topic. Alyssa, it's almost the Christmas season. Well, it is the Christmas season, but it's almost Christmas Day.
I know.
In years past, we've kind of shared holiday memories centered around video games, but this time around, I wanted to talk specifically about decorating for Christmas. So, video games or not, how do you feel about decorating for Christmas? Is this something you absolutely must do, or would you just rather not? I mean, I'm looking at your room right now. I don't see a single...
You can't tell by my office, but the living room, oh boy. I love decorating for Christmas, but mostly just contain it to the living room. Got the tree up. I sound like an old lady, but I have a collection of those porcelain light-up houses, the village pieces, I've got those set up. And then just some other things around that my granny and grandpa made, because my grandpa would make things out of wood, and my granny would paint them, or she would make things out of crab shells and okra shells, and just really cool stuff. So, there is an R2-D2 Funko Pop in this office with reindeer antlers and Christmas lights, but my webcam is cutting it off. So there's one Christmassy item in here. But yeah, I love decorating for Christmas. I just kind of keep it contained to the living room.
Okay. I despise decorating for Christmas. I hate it.
Oh, so we got
I don't know.
Both ends of the spectrum here.
It's just anything that is extra work for me, I am just not interested in doing. We have a annual Christmas party in my basement with some close friends every year, and it becomes, my wife literally takes off the entire week beforehand. Like that's when she does her winter vacation, is that week, just to get the house ready. She does her spring cleaning in winter, and I come home and I don't know if you can even see it in here. There, you can probably see just some Christmas lights up there. She has my entire basement covered in Christmas lights in the drop ceiling, ornaments hanging from the ceiling. The tree, obviously I'm okay with the tree, but she has been bugging me for years to decorate outside. Put Christmas lights up on the trees and I don't know, blow up Santas and stuff like that. I have absolutely no interest for a couple of reasons.
Yeah.
Number one, it's work. It takes a lot of work to set that stuff up and then to tear it all down. But number two, I don't know how cold it gets down by you in Alabama.
Oh, Christmas here, low of 8 degrees, high of 20.
Okay.
So it gets cold.
On Thursday, we've got a wind chill of negative 30.
Oh my God.
And now, granted, I don't think that I would be doing it during that weather anyway. Yeah. But I just have no desire to be outside in the cold setting up something that I know I'm just going to have to tear down in another month. It just, anything that gives me extra work to do, I have absolutely no interest. So what I did is I bought 2 of these like spotlight kind of things that shine like red and green laser lights on the front of my house.
Okay. Yeah, I've seen those before.
And then another one that does some kind of dancing lights. I got them in the ground right next to the tree, plug it in, boom, I'm done. That is the extent of my Christmas decorations as far as the house goes. I just have no desire. My wife, sweet woman, right? Everything's got to be cute. Everything has to be just cute, and it drives me crazy. Okay. As an example, I collect pop tabs, pop tabs, beer tabs for the Ronald McDonald House. We do like a little collection at school and donate them to the Ronald McDonald House. I think they just recycle them and get money, for Ronald McDonald House. I have a little container out on the deck where I keep pop tops until they get full, and then I go put them in a bigger container at school. I went out there to find it, and I'm like, "Where's my container?" And she's like, "Oh, I swapped it out for a cute one." So she took this container and she put the pop tabs that are in there in a plastic bag, and then she replaced it with like a red container with a little hole in the top that looks like it's got a Santa belt and a buckle on it because it was cute. It's a tiny little thing that holds no pop tabs, hardly at all, but it's cute. I'm way more about functionality than cute. So, yeah. I'm not a Grinch by any means. I love Christmas holiday. But I also am, as I get older and older, I feel more and more stressed out by how much stuff there is to do during the holidays between our Christmas party, another Christmas party we go to, getting gifts together for my coworkers and making ornaments for my students and making a gift for my students and, going out and making sure you meet with people and then the holidays themselves. Like this Christmas, my Packers play on Christmas Day, and I'm going to be hanging out with my wife's family that a couple of them don't like football. So I'm going to want to sit there and watch this football game because if the Packers lose, they're out of the playoffs, and it's really important. And, just everything just gets in the way of my routine of my lifestyle. So decorations definitely add to that. But I do love Christmas. I really do.
Yeah.
I love giving
I
people stuff at
understand
Christmas.
Getting routines messed up. Trust me.
Yeah. I'm kind of Sheldon that way, and my wife likes to make fun of me.
I am too. It makes people so mad. But I'm like, I have my routine.
If I had my way, we would have the same thing to eat for dinner every night. Like on the show, like Wednesday night was Thai food night or whatever. That's like how my life would be.
Mm-hmm.
Simplicity. Don't have to worry about it. Just stock up on the same stuff you need and eat whatever,
Yeah. I'm not good with changes either, so the routine helps. And then when my routine's interrupted, I'm like, no. I'm so angry on the inside.
Yeah. So we're a lot more alike than you think, Alyssa. But for me, it's just I do so much, like, between school and the 2 podcasts and DJing and trying to earn extra money for my Nintendo collection. Time is so precious to me, and doing things like Christmas decorating that takes time and makes me cranky, I just have no desire in doing.
I get it.
Especially, like I said, doing work that you're going to have to clean up later drives me crazy.
Yeah.
Like I said, my wife cleans the house like hardcore before the party. Why don't we do that after the party? Because it's going to get messed up after everybody's here.
Yeah,
like, why are we getting
2
it so?
times the cleaning.
Yeah, we literally spend about 6 times the amount of time to get ready for a party than we do actually attending this party, and it just drives me crazy. Anyway, So we know you do decorating.
Mm-hmm.
You said your living room is decorated Christmas. Do you have any video game decorations, like ornaments or posters or anything that's video game related for your Christmas
Sadly,
decorating?
I only have one video game ornament. I need more, but I can't really find anything. And the only one I have is a game controller, but it's specifically not like a branded controller or anything. My dad's girlfriend got it for me for Christmas 2 years ago, I believe. And it's really
Nice.
cool. I do put it on my tree, but I need more video game ornaments. But I have a lot of geeky ornaments, though.
So like anime stuff?
I don't have any anime, because they don't make a lot of anime ornaments. But if anyone finds any, let me know. But I do have a lot of Star Wars, Doctor Who. I've got Downton Abbey Christmas ornaments. I even have a Twilight ornament from back when I was in high school that I still put on the tree. It is
Nice.
Bella and Edward getting married.
They're very Christmassy.
It's a lot of Star Wars and mostly Star Wars, to be honest, because they make a ton of Star Wars ornaments.
Yeah.
But I will never turn down any kind of geeky Christmas tree ornament because I love it. And my dad does not mind at all because the entire Christmas tree is either geeky ornaments or things that I made when I was younger or that my granny made. So everything's personal. Or geeky. So
Gotcha.
we don't do the pretty decorative tree. Ours is the hodgepodge personal tree.
I mean, that's what ours is.
Yeah.
Ours is actually one of those pre-lit trees. We don't use a real tree.
Oh, we don't either.
3 pieces, and then there's lights in it. You plug it in, and then we just put our ornaments on it. We don't do tinsel or garland or anything like that. We just, lights and the ornaments. So
our tree does require a lot of time to put together, and my dad does that because the branches scratch me up.
Oh, gotcha.
He does put the Christmas tree together, but then I decorate it. But
Nice.
It does take a while to put ours together, but it is a fake tree.
Gotcha. Let's see. We actually have a Mario star on the top of our Christmas tree.
Oh, that's cool.
And that was actually my wife's doing. I didn't even insist on that or ask for that. She actually she got a star, but she covered it in yellow felt and put 2 little black eyes on it.
Oh, that's cute.
Which I thought was cool. It lights up. So we do have that. My father, my biological father, who, by the way, is 82, is obsessed with Christmas ornaments. Every year he sends us so many Christmas ornaments that if I kept every single Christmas ornament he's bought me over the year, I would need about 3 trees to hold them all. But this last year, he actually bought me the Super Nintendo Christmas ornament from Hallmark, which I don't know if you've seen it, but it looks like the actual console.
Oh,
with
yeah,
Super Mario
I've seen
World's.
it. Yeah.
But the best part is if you press the power button or something on it, it plays music from Super Mario World, like the which is awesome. It's got a little red light on the front of it. There's a controller attached to it, so I do have that. That's about the extent of my video game decorating. I mean, there's probably other couple random ornaments on there that are video game related to some degree. I just cannot think of them off the top of my head. The biggest video game Christmas decorating I do is actually at school because my classroom is decorated in video games. It's not like, it doesn't look like Miyamoto threw up in there or anything like that, but there's lots of video game related stuff all over the place, and one of them is this tree that I pull out every year. It's just a very small tree. One of those little ones that's like about, I don't know, 2 feet tall or something like that. And I do that just to put my students' ornaments on there that I make them. But then I also have a handful of video game ornaments. Mostly it's those, I cannot remember what they're called right now. Those little beads that you put down to make a pattern, and then you put an iron down on it to...
the perler beads?
Perler, yeah, there we go. Most of them are like Nintendo characters made out of perler beads. And there's some Zelda ones I've got in there. And every time I get a video game ornament, I always get an additional one for my one at school. So I've got,
Oh, that's sweet.
Got the Nintendo one. So it's always like video game themed ornaments. But that's pretty much the extent of my video game decorating. Now my basement is decorated in video game stuff, but but not. Can you see the ornaments hanging from
I can vaguely make out a snowflake.
Yeah. Great, makes for great radio. But yeah, all those snowflakes are like pictures of my friends. Like each one is a different
that's cool.
friend that comes to our party, so she loves doing that. But anyway, I feel like maybe I picked a bad topic because neither you or I really do a whole lot of video game decorating. But
I would if I had more.
Some of our community definitely did. So we've got some comments to read off here for you. First off, Sean Coates over on Facebook, he said, "For the past few years now, I've used actual game cartridges and controllers to decorate my tree like ornaments. I bought hanging tabs, so I just stick them on the carts to hang on the tree. Since I started doing this, it's always been Nintendo themed, but this year I decided to do PlayStation. After hanging on to the wall next to our tree, also hanging onto the wall next to our tree is a Super Mario Advent calendar." So
okay, that's pretty cool.
I didn't post it here, but there's actually a picture of it on our Facebook group that I highly recommend you check out. He's not joking. There's like Uncharted and stuff like just hanging on the tree. It's pretty great.
I don't know how I missed this picture, but I need to find it because it sounds incredible.
Yeah. Alicia Deadly D also, I don't know if I'm pronouncing Alicia's name correctly there, or her moniker. She says, "I geeked out one of the trees in our house. It's topped with the same star, one of my favorites." And when she talks about same star, she's referring to the picture that our own Chris Owens posted. Did you see Chris's tree?
I did not. I don't think, maybe I did. I don't know.
If you get a chance, it's the picture that I used when I posted this topic this week. It is covered with little cutout felt things of nothing but Mario characters or mushrooms or fire flowers and cheeps. It's just covered head to toe. I don't know what he did to convince his wife to do that. That would never fly in my house. So kudos to him for doing that. But it obviously has a Mario star on the top. So that's what Alicia is referring to. So well done, Alicia. And hello, by the way. I feel like I haven't talked to her in forever.
Hey, Alicia. Paul Hine writes, "No decorations on the tree, sadly," and he put an emoji where the character is crying like rivers of tears. "My wife draws the line at all the Star Wars and Star Trek ornaments. However, I always try to do some couch co-op and party games with visiting family. Mario Kart is always a fave, and this year it's going to be some Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge. Also going to play some Rift Tracks, the game on Xbox. Be it in person or online, family game time is always a hoot."
Absolutely. Shredder's Revenge can be played with up to 6 players at once, which is bonkers. If you got enough controllers, Paul, I recommend doing that just to see how nutty it is. Pro tip, there's a button you can hit that will highlight which character is yours anytime you press it.
Oh, that's helpful.
Because it gets a little nutty if you have everybody in there at the same time, but that's awesome. Star Wars and Star Trek ornaments would be pretty cool too. So
I mean, I've got the Star Wars ornaments, and Star Trek would be cool as well.
Andrew Jack, says, "I only have 2 pieces of flair."
Which I like both of those ornaments.
Yeah, obviously, again, this is radio, but he's got a picture of a Xbox controller and a PlayStation. Is that a PlayStation controller? It looks like a PlayStation controller.
I think it looks more like a Nintendo style controller.
Yeah, because the buttons are not where they should be. Like it looks like an Xbox controller face buttons, but they're
the
not
Nintendo
in the right
shape.
Yeah, but they look homemade. They look like really clever. So that's pretty cool. Nice job, Andrew.
And over on Discord, Thomas Bex writes, "I don't think my mother would approve if I put any video game stuff in her Christmas tree. I'm very lucky.
One, man.
I'm very lucky my dad doesn't care.
Yeah.
Because I've been a geek ever since I was little, so he's used to it. He's just like, yeah, just do whatever."
That's awesome. Just stick one in there, Thomas, and just see what happens.
She'll never notice.
Yeah, until you take it down, then you just take it down before she starts de-decorating the tree, and then you got away with it.
Yeah, and if she does notice, just be like, "Oops, it fell out of my pocket and went through the air and landed on the tree somehow."
Like the mom in Christmas Story that quote-unquote accidentally broke the leg lamp.
Oh, yeah.
"It just slipped out of my hands. It broke the lamp. I was dusting something."
Yeah.
Our last comment comes from Kevin Honigford. He says, "First off, that is a picture of awesomeness, Chris." He was referring to the picture that Chris put in there. "But it would be a lot cooler if there was a certain blue hedgehog somewhere in there." We get it, Kevin. You like Sonic. As for my answer to the question, I generally don't incorporate video games much, not because I don't want to. My wonderful wife lets me have the entire basement for my video game haven, so I try not to push the boundaries while bringing my obsession to the living areas of our home. However, I was recently gifted a kick-ass Sega Genesis / Sonic ornament from a friend, and she actually thought it was quite cool. So maybe there's a small chance I can start maybe testing the waters. Possibly. Maybe? Okay, yeah, no. That was a direct quote from his thing there, so nicely done, Kevin. So,
well, at least you have a Sonic ornament now, Kevin.
Yeah, and that's a really cool. The one that I've seen is actually plays Sonic music too, like kind of like the Nintendo one does.
Oh, that is cool.
Dun, 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 dun. Yeah. Anyway, even though neither of us are really super into decorating for the holidays in terms of video games, Alyssa, that was a fun topic, and thank you to everybody for writing in. I do appreciate it. Let's see. Next week's topic is going to be New Year's, so that means it's our annual "What are your video game resolutions for the year" episode. So stay tuned on the socials for that. I did not meet any of mine. I feel. I
didn't make any.
You didn't make any?
No.
You got to make some this year. Or no, maybe you weren't on that episode? Is that what it was?
I don't believe I was on that episode.
Gotcha. We'll have to follow up and see if Zach and Chris and myself did. I can pretty much tell you I didn't. I think we had a goal of doing like a certain number of editorials every month, and I don't think any of us wrote any. So it's been a busy year.
It has been.
It hasn't been a COVID year, but it's still not been a super great year. But look at me making excuses. But stay tuned to the socials for that. Look forward to that episode each year. But that's going to do it for this episode of The Gaming Outsider. Thank you so much for listening. This episode was produced by Kevin Honigford, and all the music you hear is written and performed by Grant Henry of Stemage and Metroid Metal. His website is stemagemusic.com. That's STEMAGE music.com. Please also be sure to email us if you have any questions or concerns. Our address is feedback@thegamingoutsider.com. Alyssa, do you have any parting words for our listeners or maybe recommendations of things that they should be doing?
Okay, so my family has always watched A Christmas Story every single year on Christmas Day. So my dad and I watched the sequel, A Christmas Story Christmas, which is on HBO Max. And I went in, A Christmas Story is classic. So I was like, I don't know if this is going to live up to the original. But it's very, very cute. And it does pay homage to the first one. It features a grown-up Ralphie who is now a dad himself, going back to his hometown. I don't want to spoil the story, but it's just lovely in the way that it gives nods to the classic pink bunny suit, the bowling ball his parents got as a Christmas gift, the neighbor's dogs that were always bothering his dad.
Bubbuses!
Yeah. I mean, even the Bubbuses are still next door, by the way.
Yep. Yeah.
But it's just so cute and charming, and I wouldn't say it's the same level as the first one because that's just iconic, but this is a very worthy sequel, and just seeing the kids grown up now and they're all playing the same characters, it feels nostalgic and it's just fun, and you could watch it with family because I don't think I heard the worst word I heard was SOB said out loud.
Yep. It's pretty
There's
tame.
No violence or anything like that. Barely any language, so it's a good movie to watch with the family. I would say you probably do need to watch the first one to kind of understand things.
Yeah.
But if you've seen the first and you're wanting another Christmas movie to watch, A Christmas Story Christmas is really, really cute.
I will agree, but also disagree to some point, just because I feel like this is an okay movie that must be seen by fans of Christmas Story. But now that I've seen it, and I got to see those characters grown up as adults, I feel like I never need to see it again because the story outside of it is just so forgettable, and it just felt like a vehicle to get to see those other characters, which is fine. I just don't have a need to see it again. Do you feel like you're going to add this one to your list every year?
Oh no, I'm not going to watch it every year, but as a follow-up to the original, it does a good job, but it doesn't have the staying power of the original film like I'm still going to watch the original every year, but this one, more likely not.
I feel the same way. You got to see it, but just the one time.
Yeah.
It's so much fun because they just keep adding more characters and more characters. Like, I remember that guy, I remember that girl.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. So I've got a similar recommendation. I'm going to recommend one that actually has been added to my annual rotation. I may have mentioned it last year, and if I have, I apologize, but I rewatched it, and it's just too good not to bring up again. Have you seen 8-Bit Christmas?
I haven't. I meant to watch it last year, and I never did, and I still haven't watched it. I have time. I can have time to squeeze it in this week. I will.
You totally need to, and I'm a little biased being a video game fan and being a Nintendo fan, but this is kind of like A Christmas Story, except instead of him wanting a Red Ryder BB gun, he wants a Nintendo, and it takes place in the 80s. So it's Neil Patrick Harris and a girl that's playing his daughter, and he's telling the story to her about what it was like being a kid in the 80s, trying to convince his parents to buy him a Nintendo for Christmas and all the stuff that happens, and it is fantastic. It is so good. It's silly. Oh my goodness. June Diane Rayfield plays his mom. She has a line about waffles that makes me crack up every time I see it. Steve Zahn plays his dad, which, if you remember Steve Zahn from like That Thing You Do and a bunch of other movies.
Mm-hmm.
It is so charming, so cute. By the end of it, it's just such a sweet message that has easily been added to my annual list of Christmas movies. Even my wife likes it, and she's not a massive gaming nerd like I am, and she still thinks that this is a sweet movie. It's you don't have to be hardcore into video games to appreciate the charm that's going on here with 8-Bit Christmas, and it's on HBO, so if you've got HBO Max, it's there. But I was also able to purchase it on Amazon for like $8, because I wanted to show it with my students. So
yeah.
that was.
And also, that might be a better option because HBO Max is removing a lot of stuff from their service. So if you wanted it permanently or semi-permanently,
I definitely wanted it permanently. So I couldn't access HBO from school, probably for good reasons, but I just wanted to own it anyway and picked it up. So 8-Bit Christmas, it's really, really great. Well, Alyssa, this was a lot of fun. I think you and I should do episodes together more often.
We should.
Forget those guys. We don't need them. I had a lot of fun.
We loved them, but this was fun.
Yeah, I get Alyssa all to myself for an episode. This was great. Well, thanks for joining me, Alyssa. I hope you had as much fun as I did.
Oh, I did. Thank you for letting me just be with you by myself.
No, it was totally fine. I'm glad we were able to make it work out. It's mostly my fault of the scheduling. I misunderstood the other guy's availability and just kind of ran with it. So that's my fault. But
it worked out beautifully.
Yeah, now we know we can do it. We can just do you and me on an episode sometime. So until next week, I'm Scott Clark with Alyssa White, and we are The Gaming Outsider. And remember, there's no such thing as a bad game, just games that aren't for you.